Ever since the verdict was given in the Depp-Heard defamation suit, Amber and her people have been going around pointing fingers at the jury and Johnny's team. Well, it seems Depp's team has finally had enough of their insults and are actually taking them head-on, as they've also appeared in a recent interview, and you won't believe what they said about their opposition. So exactly what has Johnny's people said about Amber Heard and her team of lawyers? For Amber's team, it only took a few hours after the verdict was read for them to come out and make wild accusations, blaming the jury for being influenced by the public and then blaming Depp's team for not playing fair. And while this was just seen as a desperate cry for help without any grounds whatsoever to the general public, Depp's team have also gotten in front cameras to share a couple of their own opinions on the case, attending their first interview since the verdict was passed, after turning down several others, including one of the interviews where Amber's lawyer actually made those claims. Depp's team of lawyers, Camille Vasquez and Ben Chu, recently took to the Good Morning America show to give their own side of the tale. While the pair were visibly excited about their win against Amber Heard, they actually recognized that it took them a lot of work to get to that point, especially since the world isn't very open to the idea of a man being the victim of domestic violence in a marriage. Speaking on why the outcome of the case was the way it was, Vasquez said,
"Legal experts, they thought it was a very uphill fight from the beginning for you all. What was the key to victory?"
I think the key to victory was focusing on the facts and the evidence, and Johnny's opportunity to speak the truth for the first time. It was 6 years in the making, and I think he was able to connect with the jury and the general public and tell what really happened in this relationship.
This is unlike Amber's people that just simply focused on whatever excuse they could make out for why they lost the case. Speaking of Amber, her name actually came up in the interview, with the presenter actually asking about some of the comments she made after the trial, specifically the one on Depp winning the case being a step back for victims of domestic violence in the world. Well, Camille seems to think this was actually a step forward, explaining why she has that line of thinking. The lawyer stated that most times women are always tagged as the victim of domestic violence, when in reality domestic violence actually doesn't have a gender. In fact, it's even more difficult for men to come out as victims of domestic violence because of the stigma attached to it. But now with this win, Johnny just might have ushered a new age where men can also be heard, given that they had already demolished all the statements that Amber's lawyer had previously made in other interviews. Just like in court, Depp's team actually talked about some of the strategies they used in making their case to the jury.
What was your impression of Ms. Heard's impression on the jury?
I think that her impression on the jury was what it was. I think something that I focused on and we focused on in that cross-examination was using her words against her. And it was very important for us to, every question that was asked was tied to something she had said previously. And I think the jury got to see and the world got to see and hear from Ms. Heard in that relationship on every single topic.
And George, I think there was a real contrast. Johnny took ownership of a lot of things, and it seemed at times, and perhaps it came through to the jury, that she had an answer for everything, and she wasn't taking accountability for anything. And I think that made a difference.
From what they just said, it's clear as day why they actually won. In fact, you could say it was pretty easy for them to win, given that most of Amber's statements were contradictory in one way or another. Now, considering all of this, it'll be significantly difficult, if not damn near impossible, for Amber and her team to get the verdict overturned. But do tell us, what do you think about all of this?